The Supreme Court this very morning will hear oral arguments on Donald Trump's eligibility to appear on the ballot. Back in December, you'll recall that Colorado State Supreme Court ruled that he should be removed from that state's ballot based on Section 3 of the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. That post-Civil War provision of the Constitution bars anyone who took an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States and engaged in insurrection from ever holding public office again. Trump's legal team is expected to argue that as president, he was not an officer of the United States and that his actions leading up to and on January 6th do not constitute an insurrection or rebellion. Joining us now, MSNBC Justice and Legal Affairs analyst Anthony Coley. He was most recently the top spokesperson at the Department of Justice under Attorney General Merrick Garland. Anthony, good to see you this morning. So let's get your takeaways, what you're looking to see today. It's a monumental case because it's not just about Colorado. There are a number of other states looking potentially to do the same thing, so there could be a domino effect. So what are some things you're going to be really looking out for?
That's right. Good morning, Jonathan. It is a monumental case, and I think the big question before the court is, will it be the apolitical branch of government that really calls balls and strikes as they are, or will it rely on one of these technical legal arguments, one of these off-ramps that your guest earlier this week have talked about? I suspect that given the conservative majority of the court, that it's going to take one of these narrow off-ramps. But I should say, Jonathan, we've seen this movie before. This is the same type of play. If they take this off-ramp, this is the same play that Senate Republicans used during the second Trump impeachment trial, when instead of voting their conscience, if they had voted to convict Donald Trump for what he did on January 6th, he wouldn't even be on the ballot right now. So I suspect, Jonathan, at the end of the day, it's going to come down to the American people doing what the American people did in 2020, and that is to decisively beat Donald Trump at the ballot box.
So tell us a little bit how today will play out and what we'll hear. That it is going to be live streamed. So walk us through the procedures out. So much of America is going to be closely watching and listening.
That's exactly right. The narrow question before the court, as your segment teased, is one of eligibility and whether or not Donald Trump, as an officer of the United States, engaged in an insurrection. And what the plaintiffs say is that, of course, he did. We all saw Donald Trump summon the mob, his supporters, to Washington. We saw them egg them on. We saw them we saw Trump encourage his supporters to go down to the Capitol and to fight like hell. And we all remember the results of that. They defaced the Capitol. They assaulted the news media. They assaulted law enforcement. 5 members of law enforcement lost their lives. I suspect that we're going to hear a lot of that today. Now, Trump, on his other side, one of his main arguments, and your tease here had it right, is that he wasn't even technically an officer of the United States. And so, who knows how this is going to shake out, but I strongly suspect that it's really going to come down to the American people, Jonathan, doing what they did in the last election, and that is decisively beating Trump at the ballot box.
It seems unlikely the Supreme Court will take him off the ballot, but we will certainly have complete coverage of this all day long here on MSNBC. Anthony, before you go, one other matter. Your former boss, Merrick Garland, sent a letter to some congressional leaders yesterday saying that the DOJ's investigation into President Biden's classified documents case has wrapped up. These are documents he had when he was vice president. There are not expected to be any criminal charges, maybe some political embarrassment. But tell us how this will play out over the next couple of days.
Yeah, no surprises here. Listen, Jonathan, we all make mistakes. The question is, what do you do when you make a mistake? And what Joe Biden and his team did here is they immediately notified the National Archives when these documents were found. They returned the documents, and then they cooperated with investigators and prosecutors who were assigned to look at this whole thing. So completely no surprise here. I suspect that over the coming days, we are going to see people on the Republican side try to draw a distinction, a parallel between what happened here and what the same type of matter in Donald Trump. But they're really is no comparison, Jonathan. What Joe Biden did and what Donald Trump did with regard to classified material, it really is night and day. So I suspect we're going to see Republicans try to draw some type of parallel here, but the facts suggest that there really is no parallel.
Yeah, that can't be said enough. There is no comparison between what Biden and Trump did here. MSNBC Justice and Legal Affairs analyst Anthony Coley, thank you so very much.